Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. There's been a bunch of devblogs that have come out the last few days, kind of signaling the update is probably coming out pretty soon. So I thought we'd cover one of them. The FV721 Fox, which is coming in for the British. It is a little light tank, which is going to be coming in for Great Britain at rank 4. On the dev server, it was 7.0, which was kind of crazy, but also, as a light scout vehicle, it has the potential to be pretty good. It has some factors which people will be used to from other British vehicles, and also has some factors that are new, mainly its insane mobility. There is also a event for International Women's Day going on, just to let you know. You can get the Queen of the Seas decal from the 7th of March until the 9th, and all you got to do is play 3 battles with vehicles that are ranked 3 or higher. So make sure to do that, so you can get yourself a nice decal. Let's get into the history of the F721 Fox. In the 1960s, the British Army was looking to replace their outdated Ferret and Saladin armoured cars with a more capable vehicle that featured the 30mm L21A1 Radin cannon. Development of the FV721 Fox started in 1965 by Daimler, with the first prototype ready and shown to the British Army in 1967. After successful trials, full-scale production of the Fox was given the go-ahead and was completed by 1973. Over 300 were built, where most were operated by Britain, which are now out of service, and some by Malawi and Nigeria, that is still in service today, but in very limited numbers. So after playing with the Fox on the dev server, I'm actually really excited about the vehicle. I know it seems a little bit odd because it has a collection of factors that usually don't really work well together, but in general I think it should be pretty fun. As somebody who's a huge fan of stuff like the AML-90, mainly because, it's super small, you can get into tight areas, and then, hammer people with the gun, the Fox very much feels like that, just obviously without the better gun. So, this vehicle gets the 30mm L21A1. It's the Radin that you know and love when it comes to the Warrior IFV that is in the British tech tree. It's a very slow-firing, okay muzzle velocity gun, which doesn't have access to a stabilizer. So it's just one of those plinky guns that is okay against ground vehicles, because if you get into the side of them, usually with the first shot or the second one, you can actually end up getting, a decent shot into, the next one. But against planes or against helicopters, it just takes a long time to take them out because of the plinky nature. So, the vehicle is definitely more designed to destroy ground vehicles. The best belt that it can get is the APDS belt, and on the dev server, at least the first one, it was pretty cool, because it was actually at the rank 1. It was a modification for rank 1, so you didn't have to deal with the stock round for too long. Unfortunately, by the time the second dev server came around, they had moved the APDS to rank 4, and they had added a new belt at rank 1, which is just basically more of the same default belt, with only 50mm worth of pen. So the SAP belt really isn't very good. With only 50mm worth of pen, it won't go through a lot of stuff, so you're going to have to use it more as a passive scout. I suppose you could use it as an aggressive scout, so get into areas quickly and then just kind of scout everything around, but usually with an aggressive scout, which is going to be more closer to the enemy instead of closer to the backline, you want a punchy gun to be able to deal with stuff, and the Fox won't have that until rank 4, and then even when it gets there, you still won't be able to deal with the vast majority of targets that you find. The vehicle does have a 190 horsepower engine, which may sound not huge, but the vehicle itself isn't very huge. It's only 6 tons, which means that it has a power to weight ratio of 31. So it's able to really fly around the place. And what is also kind of cool is it does actually have pretty decent armor on it. When I first looked at the vehicle, I thought about the fact that it wouldn't really be able to hold up against anything, but now that, seeing it on the dev server and stuff, it should be able to stop 30 cals, it should be able to stop 50 cals, which is a lot better than many of the vehicles that we see around here. So stuff like the Rattle, for example, or the AML-90 cannot stop stuff like 50 cals, and that kind of sucks. Hopefully at some point we can get more of the British light tanks in to see what their armor values are like and also their general mobility around the place. I think that would be kind of cool. So the vehicle will be fine. You know, it'll be a completely fine little scout vehicle. It won't be able to really carry games a lot of the time just because of its BR. And this is not... Do we class it as a BR problem? It is a BR problem, but it's not because of the BR of the vehicle. So if this vehicle came out like a year ago and it was at 7.0 BR, it would actually be in a much better position than it is now at 7.0 BR. Because what they did is they bumped up a ton of vehicles that this thing would actually be quite good at against. So stuff like the Leopard 1, the Marder, you know, the DF-105, stuff like that. You can plinky-plonky and be able to pen them not too bad. But because this thing is at 7.0 now, and because 6.7, 7.0, 7.3 is dominated by heavy tanks, you know, IS-2, IS-3, IS-4M, T-10A, then T-29, T-34, T-30, M6A2E1, T-26E5, and then also for Germany you got the Tiger 2H, Tiger 2-105, Tiger 2P, all of these things, Mouse, all of these things are incredibly rampant, and as somebody who was playing those BRs recently with a vehicle with not a lot of pen, it was incredibly annoying, just kind of sat there waiting for people to deal with targets while you just chill in the background. And even from the side, a lot of those vehicles you'll really struggle to pen with this gun. And since you have a plinky-plonky nature gun, if you screw up one or two shots, you're going to die pretty quickly. So, in my opinion, the problem with this vehicle is not actually going to be the vehicle itself. It still, most of the time, should be very fun to play. The issue is what it's going to go against, which will be predominantly heavy tanks, and that just sucks. There isn't really anything else to kind of go through there. You're just going to be in a lot of situations where you're not going to be able to really use the advantage that you're going to have because you won't be able to deal with any of the enemies that are around the place. And, you know, the vehicle doesn't have like any thermals. I think it has NVDs, which is kind of interesting. It has pretty decent optics and all of that stuff. And when it gets its APDS, it will be able to deal with some of the, you know, the decent vehicles from other places. Out of the update, this one is a vehicle I'm really looking forward to. Because first of all, that British lineup at 7.0 really needs help, and giving them an additional vehicle will be really nice. And, you know, I haven't ever really had a negative or a really negative experience in many of the British light vehicles. The Rattles were definitely rough when they first came out, but all of the other British ones, you know, stuff like the Crusader, the Stuart, things like the Warrior, I've actually enjoyed quite a lot. Even the VFM5, it was a really fun spade, surprisingly. And the Fox, I'm sure, will be the same. And hopefully, in the future, we can get more of these kind of light vehicles that Britain made, because they did make a ton of them, and hopefully they'll be put in. As always, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.